A new world. On a distant planet named Saphira, the sky shimmered with shades of purple and blue. This was a world full of advanced technology and unique creatures. Buildings soared high, made of glass that sparkled like stars. The air was filled with the sound of laughter and chatter from the Saphirians, the planet's alien inhabitants. Among them was a young alien girl named Lyra. Lyra was curious and adventurous. She had bright green skin and big round eyes that sparkled with excitement. She loved to explore, and she was always looking for something new to learn. But more than anything, Lyra loved to laugh. She often found humor in the strange things that others did. Yet there was one thing she found particularly amusing: humans. To the Zephyrians, humans were seen as primitive beings. They had simple technologies and lived in ways that seemed outdated. Lyra had seen videos of humans on her holographic screen. She chuckled at their odd ways of doing things. How can they survive with such basic tools? She thought to herself. She imagined humans as funny little creatures, clumsy and slow. One day, the leaders of Saphira announced that a human delegation would visit their planet. Lyra's heart raced with excitement. This was her chance to see the primitive humans up close. She gathered her friends to discuss the visit. "I can't wait to see how they live," she exclaimed, giggling. "I bet they don't even know how to fly." When the human team arrived, Lyra was there to greet them. The humans stepped out of their ship, looking amazed. They wore simple clothes and had strange expressions on their faces. Lyra couldn't help but laugh softly. They looked so serious. "Welcome to Saphira," she said with a smile, her voice light and cheerful. The humans were a bit taken aback by her friendliness, but they managed to smile back. One of them, a tall man named John, stepped forward. "Thank you for having us," he replied, trying to sound confident. As they walked through the streets of Saphira, Lyra pointed out the wonders of her world. "Look at our floating gardens. And those are the light crystals. They glow at night," she explained. The humans listened with wide eyes, amazed by the beauty surrounding them. But as they admired the sights, Lyra couldn't help but tease them. "How do you live without floating cars? You must be so slow on your planet," she joked. The humans laughed nervously, unsure of how to respond. "We like to walk," John said, scratching his head. "It keeps us healthy." Lyra found this answer funny. "Healthy? How can walking be healthy when you can fly?" she said, her laughter echoing through the streets. The humans exchanged glances, some of them smiling, while others looked a bit embarrassed. As the day went on, Lyra began to notice something different about the humans. Despite their simple ways, they had a warmth that was hard to ignore. They were friendly and curious, just like her. She realized they were not just primitive beings. They had their own way of life that was different but still beautiful. That night, as Lyra lay in bed, she thought about the humans. She had expected to see clumsy creatures, but instead, she found them intriguing. "Maybe I need to learn more about them," she whispered to herself, a smile creeping onto her face. She closed her eyes, dreaming of the adventures that awaited her with the humans. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of a journey that would change her understanding of what it truly meant to be primitive. Meeting the humans. The next day, the sun rose over Saphira, casting a golden glow across the vibrant landscape. Lyra woke up with excitement buzzing in her chest. Today, she would spend more time with the human delegation. She quickly dressed in her favorite bright blue outfit and rushed out of her house. Her friends had gathered in the main square, where the humans would meet them. As she arrived, she saw the humans standing together, looking a bit lost. They were surrounded by curious Zephyrians, all eager to learn about the visitors from Earth. Lyra noticed John, the tall man she had met yesterday. He was trying to communicate with a small group of Zephyrians, but they didn't seem to understand him. Lyra giggled softly, watching the scene unfold. "Let me help," she called out, stepping forward with a big smile. The humans turned to her, relief washing over their faces. "Hi, I'm Lyra," she said, waving. John's face lit up. "Hi, Lyra. I'm John. Thanks for coming to help us." Lyra quickly translated for John, explaining that the humans wanted to learn about Spherian customs. As she spoke, she noticed how the humans listened carefully, their eyes wide with wonder. They were eager to learn, and it made her feel good to help. "Let's start with a game," Lyra suggested. She loved games, and she thought it would break the ice. "We can teach you a Spherian game called Sky Catch." The humans exchanged excited looks. "Sounds fun," John replied, his eyes sparkling. The group moved to an open field where they could play. Lyra explained the rules. Players would toss a light crystal in the air, and others would try to catch it. The crystals floated gently, glowing as they moved. Lyra demonstrated, tossing a crystal high into the air. The humans cheered as it sparkled in the sunlight. As the game began, laughter filled the air. The humans struggled at first, their hands reaching awkwardly for the floating crystals. But soon they began to understand. "I got one," a woman named Sarah shouted, holding up her crystal proudly. Everyone clapped and cheered, including the Spherians. Lyra was delighted. She loved seeing the humans relax and enjoy themselves. They were no longer just visitors. They were friends. As they played, she noticed how competitive they became, laughing and teasing each other. The ice had broken, and the mood was light. After the game, the group sat on the grass, catching their breath. Lyra looked around at the smiling faces and felt a warm glow in her heart. "What do you think of Zephyra?" she asked the humans. John grinned. "It's amazing. Everything is so colorful and lively. We've never seen anything like it." "Yeah," Sarah added, "and your games are fun. But I'm still getting used to floating crystals." They all laughed, and Lyra felt a sense of pride. She realized that while the humans might not have the same technology, they had something else: joy and laughter. As the day went on, they shared stories about their homes. The humans talked about Earth, their blue oceans, tall mountains, and diverse animals. Lyra listened with wide eyes, fascinated by their world. She learned about their struggles and dreams, finding common ground in their hopes for a better future. As the sun began to set, casting a warm orange glow across the sky, Lyra knew this was just the start of a beautiful friendship. She looked at John and Sarah and felt a deep connection. These primitive humans were not so different after all. With each laugh and story shared, they were building a bridge between their worlds, and Lyra couldn't wait to see where it would lead. The experiment begins. The next day, excitement buzzed in the air as the human delegation gathered with the Zephyrians. Lyra couldn't help but feel thrilled. They had been talking about an experiment that would help the two species understand each other better. "This is going to be fun," she thought, her heart racing with anticipation. Lyra met the humans at the main research center, a large building filled with strange machines and bright lights. The walls were covered with holograms showing the different species of Zephyra and Earth. Lyra felt proud of her planet, and she was eager to show the humans how amazing it was. John and Sarah stood with a few other humans, looking at the machines in awe. "What do these do?" John asked, pointing at a strange device that whirred and glowed. "It measures our energy levels," Lyra explained. "And today we will use it to understand our different ways of breeding." The humans exchanged glances, a bit nervous. "Breeding?" Sarah asked, her voice uncertain. Lyra nodded, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Yes, it's a way to see how we create life. You will get to experience it with us." The humans weren't sure what to expect. They had come to learn about Zephyrian culture, but this was new territory. "How do we do this?" John asked, trying to sound brave. "First, we need volunteers," Lyra said cheerfully. She raised her hand, eager to be part of the experiment. "I'll help." Sarah stepped forward too, her face determined. "I want to see how it works." As the volunteers stepped forward, Lyra explained the process. We will create a safe environment for the experiment. You will share your energy, and we will combine it with ours to see what happens." The humans listened, still unsure but excited about the unknown. They moved to a large, circular room filled with glowing crystals. The atmosphere felt alive with energy. Lyra instructed the humans to stand in a circle, holding hands with her and each other. "Now take a deep breath and feel the energy around you," she said. "Let it flow." As they began, the room filled with light. The crystals glowed brighter, pulsing with energy. Lyra could feel the excitement building. The humans closed their eyes, concentrating on their breathing. Lyra guided them, urging them to share their thoughts and feelings. Suddenly, a surge of energy flowed through the circle. It felt warm and inviting. Lyra opened her eyes and saw the humans smiling. "This is amazing," Sarah exclaimed, her face bright with joy. "I feel connected to everyone." John nodded. "It's like we're all one big family," he said, his voice filled with wonder. The energy around them danced like colorful fireflies, creating a magical atmosphere. Lyra felt a rush of happiness. "See, we are not so different after all," she said. The humans nodded, their faces glowing with understanding. They had come to see Zafira, but now they were experiencing something deeper: connection. As the experiment continued, they shared their thoughts and dreams. Each human talked about their families and hopes, while Lyra shared stories of her life on Zafira. The barriers between them started to fade, replaced by laughter and warmth. After what felt like hours, the experiment came to an end. The room returned to its normal state, but the connection they had formed remained. "That was incredible," John said, his eyes shining with excitement. "I never knew it could feel like that." Lyra beamed with pride. "I'm so glad you enjoyed it. This is just the beginning of our journey together." She realized that this experiment had not only shown them their differences, but also their similarities. As the humans left the research center, they couldn't stop talking about the experience. Lyra watched them with a smile, knowing that they had taken a big step toward understanding each other. This was only the start of a beautiful friendship, and she couldn't wait to see what would come next. Funny misunderstandings. After the exciting experiment, the humans and Lyra felt closer than ever. They were eager to learn more about each other, but they also knew that their cultures were very different. The next day, they planned to have a cultural exchange, where they would share their traditions and customs. Lyra couldn't wait. As the humans arrived at the Zafirian Cultural Center, Lyra greeted them with enthusiasm. "Welcome. Today we will show you some of our traditions," she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. The humans smiled, ready to join in. "Let's start with a Zafirian feast," Lyra announced. "We have delicious foods to share." She led them to a long table filled with colorful dishes. There were glowing fruits, sparkling drinks, and strange-looking snacks. The humans stared at the food, unsure of what to try first. "What is this?" John asked, pointing to a bright purple fruit that glimmered. "It looks like a giant berry." Lyra laughed. "Yes, we call it the glimmer fruit. It's very sweet. Just take a bite." John hesitated, then took a bite. Instantly, his eyes widened, and he let out a loud, "Wow!" The fruit exploded with flavor, filling his mouth with sweetness. "This is amazing," he exclaimed, laughing. The other humans eagerly followed suit, trying the different dishes. However, as they ate, some misunderstandings began to pop up. Sarah picked up a dish that looked like a small jelly blob. "What is this?" she asked, squinting at it. "Is it dessert?" Lyra chuckled. "No, that is called slime gel. It's a side dish. You should eat it with your main course." Sarah looked confused but decided to try it anyway. She took a small spoonful, and as she chewed, her face contorted. "This tastes different," she managed to say, her eyes wide. The Zafirians giggled at her reaction. They were used to the taste that found Sarah's expression hilarious. "Is it bad?" Lyra asked, trying to hold back her laughter. "No, just unique," Sarah replied, forcing a smile. The humans burst into laughter, and soon everyone was sharing their own funny food moments. Next, it was time for a dance. Lyra suggested they learn a traditional Zephyrian dance called the twirl and spin. "It's easy," she said. The humans looked excited, ready to try something new. Lyra demonstrated the dance, spinning and twirling in a way that made her look like she was floating. "Okay, now you try," Lyra encouraged. The humans took turns attempting the dance. At first, they moved awkwardly, stepping on each other's feet and bumping into one another. John stumbled and nearly fell over, but he caught himself just in time. "I think I need more practice," he laughed, rubbing his foot. Lyra couldn't stop giggling. "You're doing great. Just relax and have fun," she cheered. With her encouragement, the humans began to let loose, laughing at their own clumsiness. But then came the funniest moment of all. As they danced, John tried to impress everyone with a big spin. He twirled with enthusiasm, but his foot caught on a small crystal, and he went tumbling to the ground. "Whoa!" he yelled, landing in a heap. The room fell silent for a moment, and then erupted with laughter. Lyra rushed to help him up, still giggling. "You should have seen that. You spun like a Zephyrian leaf," she joked. John laughed too, brushing himself off. "Well, I guess I need to work on my landing." The day continued with more food, laughter, and silly dancing. Despite the misunderstandings, or maybe because of them, the bond between the humans and the Zephyrians grew stronger. They learned that differences could be funny and that laughter was a universal language. As the sun began to set, they all gathered together, smiling and sharing stories about their cultures. Lyra realized that these funny moments brought them closer. With every laugh, they were building a friendship that would last a lifetime. The breeding process. The sun rose brightly over Zephira as Lyra prepared for the next part of their cultural exchange. After the funny misunderstandings from the previous day, everyone was eager to learn more about each other. Today, they would explore the topic of breeding, which had been the focus of the experiment from before. Lyra gathered the humans in a spacious room filled with colorful plants and glowing crystals. "Welcome back," she said with excitement. "Today, we will talk about the breeding process on Zephira and how it is different from what you know on Earth." John, Sarah, and the other humans listened intently, their faces a mix of curiosity and nervousness. "Breeding is how we create life," Lyra explained. "In Zephirian culture, it is a beautiful and emotional process." She noticed some humans exchanging glances, unsure of what to expect. Lyra started by explaining the role of energy in the breeding process. "On our planet, we believe that energy connects all living things. When two beings want to create life, they share their energy in a special way," she said. "It is about love and connection, not just biology." As she spoke, Lyra could see the humans processing the information. "How do you share energy?" Sarah asked, her eyes wide with interest. Lyra smiled. "We do this through a ceremony where we connect our minds and hearts. It creates a bond that helps us understand each other deeply." "Is it like a ritual?" John asked, leaning forward. "Yes," Lyra replied enthusiastically. "It can be very personal. We create a safe space filled with light and sound. It helps us feel comfortable and open." To demonstrate, Lyra suggested they try a mini version of the ceremony. "Don't worry, it will be simple and fun," she reassured them. The humans agreed, and the room was filled with excitement. Lyra led them to a circular area decorated with soft lights and glowing plants. "Sit in a circle and hold hands," she instructed. The humans followed her lead, giggling a bit at the unfamiliar setup. Lyra closed her eyes, focusing on the energy around her. "Now let's breathe together," she said. They all took deep breaths in unison, feeling the calming atmosphere. "Imagine the energy flowing between us, like a warm light," Lyra guided them. The humans focused, and soon they began to feel a sense of connection. As they continued to breathe together, John suddenly opened his eyes, a look of surprise on his face. "I feel something," he exclaimed. "It's like a warm glow in my chest." The others nodded, sharing their own experiences. Sarah added, "It feels peaceful and happy. I like this." Lyra beamed with pride. "This is just a small taste of our breeding process. It's all about love and connection." She saw that the humans were beginning to understand, and it filled her with joy. They were learning that breeding was not just a biological act, but a deep emotional experience. As the session continued, Lyra encouraged everyone to share their thoughts and feelings. The humans opened up about their families, dreams, and what love meant to them. They spoke about their hopes for the future and how they cared for one another. The atmosphere was filled with warmth, and laughter echoed in the room. After the ceremony, they all sat together, reflecting on the experience. "I never thought breeding could be so beautiful," John said, his eyes shining. "It's not just about making babies, it's about connection." Sarah smiled, adding, "I feel like I know you all better now." This was amazing. Lyra felt a wave of happiness. They had taken a big step toward understanding each other. The bond between them grew stronger, and she realized that despite their different worlds, love and connection were universal. As they wrapped up the session, Lyra knew this was only the beginning of their journey together. They were building a friendship that would not only bridge their cultures, but also teach them the true meaning of connection. Finding common ground. As the days passed on Saphira, the bond between Lyra and the human delegation grew stronger. They had shared laughter, learned about each other's cultures, and even explored the beautiful ceremony of breeding. Now it was time to dig deeper and find common ground between their worlds. Lyra gathered everyone in the lush garden outside the cultural center. The garden was alive with colors. Flowers bloomed in shades of blue, pink, and gold, and the sweet scent filled the air. It was the perfect place for their next discussion. "Welcome, friends," she said, her voice cheerful. "Today, we will explore what connects us as beings." John and Sarah smiled, ready to engage. "What do you mean by connection?" John asked, his brow furrowed in thought. "How can we find common ground?" Lyra gestured toward the beautiful flowers. "Let's start with nature. On both our planets, we have plants and animals. They bring us joy and are part of our lives. How do you connect with nature on Earth?" The humans exchanged excited glances. Sarah spoke up. "We go hiking in the mountains, swim in the ocean, and enjoy picnics in parks. Nature makes us feel alive." Lyra nodded, understanding. "Yes, we have similar experiences. We play in the floating gardens and swim in the crystal lakes. Nature gives us peace and happiness." The group continued to share their stories about nature. Lyra learned about the animals on Earth, and the humans were fascinated by the exotic creatures of Saphira, like the colorful glimmerbirds and the gentle shimmer beasts. They realized that both species had a deep appreciation for the beauty around them. Next, Lyra shifted the conversation to family. "What about your families? How do you show love and care for each other?" she asked. John smiled warmly. "In my family, we have game nights and celebrate holidays together. We always support each other during tough times." Sarah added, "We also share meals and talk about our day. It's important to stay connected." Lyra felt a surge of happiness. "We do the same. Families are important to us too. We celebrate the Festival of Lights, where we gather, eat, and share stories." She shared her own family traditions, describing how they sang songs under the glowing stars. As they continued sharing, Lyra noticed how much they had in common. Despite their differences, they all valued family, friendship, and love. It was refreshing to see how the humans were opening up and finding parallels in their experiences. Then, Lyra suggested they engage in a creative activity to celebrate their connection. "Let's create something together. We can make a mural that represents our cultures." she proposed. The humans loved the idea and eagerly agreed. They gathered art supplies, glowing paints, brushes, and colorful stones. As they painted, laughter and chatter filled the air. John and Sarah used bright colors to create images of Earth, mountains, oceans, and animals. Meanwhile, Lyra painted the stunning landscapes of Zafira, showcasing its unique flora and fauna. As they worked side by side, they discovered new things about each other. "Your colors are so vibrant," John said, admiring Lyra's painting. "It looks magical." Lyra smiled, feeling proud. "Thank you. Your Earth images are beautiful too. They show how diverse your world is." After hours of teamwork, they stepped back to admire their mural. It was a blend of colors and images from both planets, a representation of their friendship and the common ground they had found. Standing together, they marveled at their creation. "This is more than just a painting," Sarah said softly. "It's a symbol of our connection." Lyra nodded in agreement, her heart full. "Yes, it shows that we are not so different after all. We share love for nature, family, and creativity." As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the mural, Lyra knew they had taken a significant step. They had discovered that despite their differences, they could find common ground and build a friendship that transcended worlds. And with every laugh and shared story, they were creating a bond that would last a lifetime. A change of heart. As the days turned into weeks, Lyra and the human delegation continued to grow closer. They explored more of Zafira together, learning about each other's worlds. However, there was still one important topic left to discuss: the differences in their views on breeding and family structures. One afternoon, Lyra invited John, Sarah, and the others to join her in a quiet glade deep within the floating gardens. The air was fragrant with blooming flowers, and the gentle sound of a nearby waterfall filled the space. Lyra felt this was the perfect setting to have a heart-to-heart conversation. "Thank you for coming," Lyra began, looking at each of her friends. "Today, I want to talk about something very important. I want to know your views on breeding and families." The humans exchanged glances, their expressions turning serious. "Okay," John said cautiously. "We're open to discussing it." Lyra took a deep breath, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. On Zafira, breeding is seen as a beautiful connection between two beings. It is not just about creating life. It is about love, energy, and deep emotional bonds. She paused, gauging their reactions. "But I know it may be different for you." Sarah spoke up. "In our culture, breeding is often tied to biology and reproduction. We focus on family structures and raising children. Sometimes it feels very practical." Lyra nodded, trying to understand. "So it is more about duty for you." "Kind of," John admitted. "But we do value love and connection too. It's just different." Lyra could see the humans were struggling to explain. "Would you like to know more about how we create bonds?" she asked gently. "Definitely," Sarah replied, leaning forward. "We're interested." Lyra explained the ceremonies and rituals that Zafirians practiced when they chose to breed. "It is a time of celebration. Families come together, share energy, and focus on their love for one another. It's very emotional," she said, her eyes shining with excitement. "It's not just about making babies. It's about forming a family united by love." As Lyra spoke, she could see a change in the humans' expressions. They listened intently, intrigued by the idea of breeding as a joyful celebration rather than just a biological act. "That sounds really beautiful," John said softly. "I never thought about it that way." "Do you think it could change how we view family?" Sarah asked, her curiosity piqued. Lyra smiled warmly. "Perhaps. We all want to love and be loved. Maybe we can learn from each other's perspectives." The conversation continued, and slowly but surely, the humans began to open their hearts. They shared stories about their own family experiences, their struggles and their joys. They spoke about the pressure they sometimes felt to conform to traditional views on breeding and family life. I often feel torn between what my family wants and what I truly want, Sarah admitted. Sometimes I wish I could celebrate love more freely, like you do. Lyra's heart swelled with understanding. You deserve that. Love should be celebrated, not just a duty. It should make you happy. John nodded. Hearing you talk about your culture makes me think about my own beliefs. Maybe I need to open my heart more. As they continued to share, the atmosphere shifted. The humans began to see breeding and family not just as responsibilities, but as opportunities for love and connection. They felt a newfound sense of freedom in exploring their own views. I think we can learn from each other, John said with determination. We should celebrate love, no matter how it looks. The sun began to set, casting a warm glow across the glade. Lyra felt a wave of happiness wash over her. Yes, together, we can create our own version of family, blending our cultures. We can redefine what it means to love and connect. With newfound understanding, they all agreed to approach their relationships with an open heart. As they left the glade, Lyra knew they had all experienced a change of heart. They had taken a big step toward a deeper bond, one that celebrated love, family, and the beauty of their differences. This journey had only just begun, but the future felt bright and full of possibilities, acceptance, and unity. As the sun rose over Zephyra, a sense of excitement filled the air. The friendship between Lyra and the human delegation had blossomed into something beautiful. They had learned about each other's cultures, explored their differences, and shared their dreams. Now, it was time to celebrate their unity and acceptance. Lyra decided to organize a special event, a festival of unity, to honor the bond they had created. She wanted everyone to come together, not just the humans and Zephyrians, but also their families and friends. This festival will be a celebration of love, friendship, and our shared experiences, she announced to the humans, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. The humans loved the idea. What can we do to help? John asked eagerly. Lyra smiled, grateful for their enthusiasm. We can prepare food, create decorations, and share stories. Each of you can bring something from your culture. The group quickly got to work. Lyra and her friends gathered vibrant flowers and crystals to decorate the main square. The humans prepared traditional earth dishes, such as roasted vegetables and fruit salads. They wanted to share a taste of their world, just as Lyra had shared Zephyrian dishes with them. As the day of the festival approached, excitement buzzed through the air. Families arrived from all over Zephyra, and the humans invited their friends from Earth to join in the celebration. On the day of the festival, the main square was alive with laughter and colorful decorations. Lyra welcomed everyone with open arms. "Welcome to the Festival of Unity," she exclaimed, her heart racing with joy. "Today we celebrate our friendship and the love we share." The crowd cheered, and the energy was electric. The festival began with a feast. The tables were filled with delicious dishes from both cultures, and people eagerly tried everything. Lyra watched as the humans tasted the glimmer fruit and the slime gel, giggling at their surprised reactions. "This is so sweet," Sarah exclaimed, her face lighting up. After the feast, it was time for stories. Lyra invited everyone to share tales from their cultures. The humans talked about their adventures on Earth, sharing stories of their holidays and family traditions. They even included some funny moments that had happened during their time in Zephyra. When it was Lyra's turn, she shared stories of the Festival of Lights, where her family would gather and sing under the stars. "We celebrate love and friendship during this festival," she explained, "just like we are doing today." The stories continued, each one bringing laughter and connection. Lyra noticed how everyone listened with interest, eager to learn about one another. It felt like one big family celebrating together. After the storytelling, it was time for the dance. Lyra led everyone in a traditional Zephyrian dance, the twirl and spin. The humans joined in, trying their best to keep up. There were some stumbles and laughs, but everyone was filled with joy. As the dance continued, something magical happened. The humans and Zephyrians moved together in harmony, twirling and spinning with delight. The music echoed through the square, and the laughter of friends filled the air. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, Lyra felt a deep sense of peace. "Look at us," she said, glancing at her friends. "We have created something beautiful together." John nodded, a smile spreading across his face. "This festival shows that no matter where we come from, we can accept and celebrate our differences." Lyra's heart swelled with pride. They had built a bridge between their worlds, one filled with love, acceptance, and unity. As the night deepened and stars twinkled above, they gathered around a glowing crystal fountain. Lyra spoke softly. "May this festival remind us of the bond we share. Together, we can face any challenges that come our way." The crowd cheered in agreement. They knew that they had forged something special, a connection that would last beyond the festival. They had discovered acceptance and unity, celebrating their differences and embracing the love that brought them together. A bright future. As the sun rose over Zephira after the Festival of Unity, the air was filled with a sense of hope and excitement. Lyra awoke with a smile, thinking about the wonderful memories they had created together. The festival had been a success, and now, the friendship between her and the human delegation felt stronger than ever. In the days that followed, Lyra and the humans spent time discussing their plans for the future. They had learned so much from each other, and now they wanted to continue their journey together. "We should work on more projects to connect our worlds," Lyra suggested one afternoon as they gathered in the cultural center. John nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, we can create a program that allows our families to exchange visits. Imagine if our families could experience each other's cultures firsthand." Sarah chimed in. "And we could organize joint activities, like nature hikes or art projects. It would be a great way to share our traditions." Lyra's eyes sparkled with excitement. "I love that idea. We can invite families from Zephira to Earth and vice versa. This way, everyone can learn and grow together." The group spent hours brainstorming ideas, their energy contagious. They wrote down everything they wanted to accomplish, and soon they had a plan. They would create an exchange program to promote understanding and friendship between their two worlds. Word of their plans spread quickly throughout the cultural center. Zephirians and humans alike were excited about the idea of connecting families and sharing experiences. They began preparing for the first exchange, organizing transportation and accommodations. As the preparations took shape, Lyra felt a sense of purpose. She knew that this was more than just an exchange program. It was a chance to build a bridge between their cultures. It would show that love and friendship could conquer any differences. Finally, the day of the first exchange arrived. Lyra stood at the entrance of the cultural center, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. She watched as families gathered, both Zephirians and humans, ready to embark on this new adventure together. "Welcome, everyone," Lyra called out, her heart racing with joy. "Today marks the beginning of our journey towards a brighter future." The crowd cheered, and she felt a wave of happiness wash over her. John and Sarah stood beside her, beaming with pride. "Let's make this an unforgettable experience," John exclaimed, and the families nodded in agreement. As the exchanges began, families from Earth arrived in Zephira, stepping into a world filled with color and wonder. They explored the floating gardens, tasted Zephirian foods, and learned about the customs that made this planet unique. In return, Zephirian families visited Earth, experiencing the beauty of their culture. They marveled at the vast oceans, the towering mountains, and the vibrant cities. They shared stories around campfires and celebrated holidays together, forming bonds that would last a lifetime. Through laughter and shared experiences, they discovered the joys of connection. They began to see each other not as strangers from different worlds, but as friends and family. As the months passed, the exchange program flourished. Families sent letters, shared photos, and continued to visit one another. Lyra watched as friendships blossomed, and she felt proud of what they had accomplished together. One evening, as she stood with John and Sarah under the starry sky, Lyra said, "Look how far we've come. We started as strangers, and now we are family. This is just the beginning." John smiled, his eyes shining with hope. "I believe our friendship will inspire others. We can show that differences don't divide us. They unite us." Sarah added, "Together, we can build a future where love and understanding shine bright." Lyra nodded, her heart swelling with joy. Yes, a future filled with acceptance, unity, and endless possibilities. As they looked up at the stars, they felt a deep sense of hope. They had opened the door to a bright future, one that celebrated love and connection across worlds. The journey was just beginning, and together, they knew they could achieve anything.